Welcome, mathematicians. Today is Monday or maybe Tuesday, depending on when you got started on this activity. As always, we welcome you to work at your own pace. This is the first lesson for math this week. We are going to continue working on Unit 3.1. So I just want to thank you again for being here and being present. All right, we're going to start off with a little bit of review. So did you know that the hundreds are worth more than tens and that tens are worth more than ones? Well, we're going to use this understanding to compare numbers. And that's really going to help us because today's focus is representing three-digit numbers in multiple ways. And I'm super excited to get started on this because I had so many of you talking about this last week and giving me tons of examples of how to represent different numbers. So we're going to just jump in. Now, the first question is, what do the numbers in each place mean on this example? Now, if you remember, we did have an example last week of Jackery who counted all of his beans, and his beans ended up equaling this number, 164, which is 164, right? So as you can see, there are a couple different ways that they represent this number. The first one is with these number cards up here, right? And the next way is with these base 10 blocks. Now, you all have base 10 blocks in that welcome bag that we gave you at the beginning of the quarter. So you have those to sort of use as your manipulatives at home and to look at as I go through this lesson. If you want to go ahead and grab those out at this time so you can sort of see them as an example in real life, then you're more than welcome to do that. And you can pause me right here. All right, so as we can see in this example, 164, we're going to see what each number in each place means, right? So let's go ahead and start off with the 1. Now, the 1 means what? It's in the same place as the hundredths place, right? So one of those means that it's 100. And the next place we have in the tens place, we have a 6, which means we can see 6 of these 10 blocks here. So 6 of those means that there are 6 tens, which equals 60, right? So we have 60. And then lastly, the 4 in the ones place equals 4. So we have 4 of those. So altogether, it's 100, and we get 164, right? So that's just a little bit of review. And as we talked about that last week, you guys are going to have a chance today to manipulate your own base 10 blocks digitally to show your numbers. So I'm really excited to see what you guys work on. Now, today we will be making three-digit numbers, as I mentioned, and we're going to show them in many ways. So here are a couple different examples. Now, as you can see, this one is for the number 274. So a couple different ways we can show that is with our base 10 blocks, like we just went over. And this is an example of how you would show that. As you can see, we have 100 here, another 100 here, which would be 200. And we're going to look at the tens, which we're looking for 7 tens, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. And the number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like we have 274. And that is the way that this person showed our example with base 10 blocks. Now the next example is with arrow cards. So as you can see here, we have this bubble where we would put the number 274. So this number would go right here. And we are going to show what that would look like with our arrow cards, right? So just like base 10 blocks, very similar, we would break it off into each number place. So we have in the hundreds, we're going to have 200. In the tens, we'll have 70. And in the ones, we have 4. And lastly, we have expanded form, right? So, or not lastly, we have one more after this, but the next one is in expanded form, which we would take that apart into the numbers places, right? So we have 200 plus 70 plus 4, which gives us 274. It's another way to show that, right? And then lastly is with words. As you can see in red, we have the hundreds, in yellow, the tens, and in green, the ones. So 274. Now those are just a few ways to do it. I do have one more example. So you can show the number in 4 different ways on this card, right? So we have the number, which is 274, and someone showed that with a picture. So instead of having base 10 blocks, it looks like they labeled what each picture represents, right? So the squares are hundreds, the lines are tens, and then the little circles are ones. So that is how this person showed that number. And then in word form, they wrote it out. And then, oh, one sec. And lastly, they wrote it in expanded form as well, just like on our last slide. So those are some different ways that we will be showing our numbers today. So as you can see, you will have these slides as well for review. So on slides 1 through 5, there's nothing you need to do there. Those are meant to just be review for you and just a resource if you want to look back at the examples. And you'll go ahead and get started on slide 6. So as we can see here, it says pick any 3-digit number first, and then represent the number in 3 different ways. So the first thing you're going to do is pick your 3-digit number and type it right here in this box. So I will go ahead and just pick one for fun. So let's go ahead and say 323. All right, so if that's my number, I'm going to go ahead and drag my hundreds, which there are 3, right? So we're going to drag that. Next, I'm going to go to the tens place. The tens, I have 2. So I'm going to drag 2 from the tens place. And then lastly, 3. So I'll move 3 of these little ones here. And oops, sorry. After that, we're going to go ahead and write it in expanded form. So in expanded form, I'm going to take our number apart, right? So we have 300 plus 20 plus 3. And there we go. We have it in our number form. We've shown it with base 10 blocks, and we've shown it in expanded form, right? Very cool. So thank you for participating in, or for watching this example. The last one we're going to go over, and I will move on to our closing statement and any other information about this activity. But the last form that we're going to show this in is we're going to write the same number right here. So if I had 323, I'll write it right there. It also goes right here in the middle, 323. And from here, I'm going to drag these arrow cards to each place. So for the hundreds place, I'm going to look for the 300, which is right here. And be sure you don't have to edit the numbers. The numbers are there for you to use already. And then I'll drag 20 for the tens place, right? And lastly, in the ones we have 3, I'm going to drag that over to the ones place. It can be a little bit tricky to drag them over because it might want you to write in the little box. So what I would do is if you're having that trouble, hover over the number until you see that little cross. So you see how it changes to the cross. Then it will allow you to move your number over. You see? Perfect. And lastly, we will write it in expanded form one more time. So we have 300 plus 20 plus 3. Awesome. Well, that is it for the examples. You are going to do this 2 times. So you'll move on to the next slide, which is slide 8, and you'll do it one more time with a different number. And then you'll drag the next number here again and write it in expanded form one more time. Now, I do have a message for the class today. So as you can see, it says our class of mathematicians shows our thinking with different representations. Now I'd like you to represent your 3 numbers in the form of words. How would you write them using words? Please check the number word spelling list so you are sure to spell them correctly. All right. Now, as you can see on this page, we do have all the numbers written out for you so that you can write your numbers correctly. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to write both of your numbers here. The number you used from slide 6 and this number you used from slide 8. Those should be 2 different numbers. So I would write 323 here, and then I would write it in word form right here. So I would write 323. You see? So that is my example. I do encourage you to, as I mentioned before, work at your own pace. If you feel that you've gotten through a couple of those slides and you'd like to come back to it, that's more than okay. And if you feel stuck, please reach out to me through Google Classroom or Gmail, and I would love to support. I also have office hours every day, Monday through Thursday. You can see those on the Google Calendar, and you can just show up like you would to a morning meeting, click on that link, and I will be there waiting. And if you don't show up to office hours, I will just sit there for that time. So I would love for you guys to attend office hours and we can work through some of these examples together. That is what that time is for. So please come and visit me so I'm not lonely during my office hours. All right, everyone. That is it. I am going to delete my example so that you can fit yours in here. All right, everyone. I have loved having this time with you, and I look forward to seeing you in class. Bye-bye.